We won. Yeah. They suck. Yeah. We here. Yeah. What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
You feel me? We back in the building. Y'all thought we was gone.
What's that sound? Oh, that's a siren. It's an alarm, if you will, because it's another episode of Source Say. I'm Juliet Litman.
I'm Chris Ryan.
Hi, Chris.
Hi, Juliet.
We've, 3 weeks into the NBA?
Yes, I believe
3
this
weeks.
is the fourth week we're in the middle of.
So we made it through 3 weeks without Gordon Hayward. But plenty of Gordon Hayward injury updates.
It's being documented religiously, shall I say.
It's Wednesday afternoon.
Yeah.
More coming to you on Countdown tonight, apparently.
Another Gordon Hayward update?
A sit-down, yes, with Paul Pierce.
He's always sitting down.
Eek.
That's a good joke.
It's fine. He's gonna be fine. He's shooting in a chair. We're all good with that joke. I would demand we leave it in.
Okay.
But let's move on to the seat of drama for the last 4 years, really.
Since we've known each other.
Since we've known each other.
Yeah.
All
the defining
roads,
team of our adult relationship.
the second era of LeBron James in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Cavs. Who gets fired first, in your opinion? Tyronn Lue or Jason Kidd?
Fire like Ty or Jason?
Yeah.
Kidd, but I think they're going to give Kidd a little bit more of a leash because of the Bledsoe trade.
Okay. Is Tyronn Lue in trouble?
Can we just take a step back? Are we freaking out too much about teams right now? There's a lot of parity. Everybody's 6-4, 5-5.
Or 4-5 if you're the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Sure, but are we getting a little bit too jumpy? Do you think that talking about Jason Kidd or Ty Lue's job security is premature?
Maybe with Ty Lue, he's a championship winner.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think so with Jason Kidd. It's go time with Giannis. Let's capitalize on this before he leaves for another team.
Yeah. I
know he said that when we wrote about this on The Ringer last week. I know he said that he doesn't want to be in a flashy city like New York or LA, but okay.
I don't think they have to worry about Giannis leaving. think they have to worry about just that team being good.
Sure. Let's go back to Cleveland
Sure,
now.
yeah, sorry.
So this is what LeBron has done in the last couple of days.
Yeah.
Last Friday, the Wizards, more on them to come, claimed that the Cavs went for the number 2 seeds. They wouldn't have to play the Wizards in the second round. LeBron heard that from Bradley Beal and was like, okay, sure, I'll score 57 points tonight and embarrass you. Right. And he had the defining performance of the young NBA season, one of the biggest fuck you performances in quite some time. And we were like, oh, right, the Cavs are fine because whenever LeBron wants, he can just do something like that. Mm-hmm. And then they had some more bad losses, and LeBron did an Instagram post of the fist from Arthur.
Well, we should contextualize it with 2 things happened. Kyrie went off.
Yes.
And Boston looked incredible. They're still 9-2 among the best teams in the league.
After they're won 7 in a row.
Now they've won 9 in a row.
In a row.
So Kyrie went off. They had a great game. Boston's the toast of the league. And this posting of the meme, which I had to watch Bob Lee ask what the meme meant to Dave McMenamin.
What was McMenamin's response?
He explained it, but it was just watching people be like, it is the meme of the popular children's show Arthur the Aardvark. And it was just it's just tough where we're at, man.
Seriously.
It's Bob Lee should be doing Pentagon Papers stuff,
Or Paradise Papers.
And he's like, what is Arthur the Aardvark?
Yeah, it's tough.
No shots at Bob Lee, though. He's the guy. So that happened. And then also the next day, fellow Clutch client Eric Bledsoe got traded from Phoenix to, I guess, division rival Milwaukee Bucks.
Sure.
And I think that there had been some talk about could the Cavs be in play for the Bledsoe.
Skeets had a theory on Twitter that LeBron knew the night before about the trade, and that was really about that. He was mad that his team wasn't making the moves he wanted.
Right.
And rightfully so. Their roster's looking a little thin.
Or a little old, yeah.
Or old.
A little frail.
Sure, frail stars.
So we've got D Rose with a minutes restriction. Kevin Love experiencing stomach pains and shortness of breath while getting yelled at by Ty Lue. J.R. Smith in a really cold shooting slump, the coldest it's ever been, 25%.
Yes.
I think.
Dwayne Wade demoted to the bench and then complaining about the starters.
The one thing I would say about the Ty Lue stuff is that there is a lot of competing narratives about whose idea is what. It's they work for a blog or something, and they're like, that was actually my idea. It was my idea to do this. And it's Ty was oh yeah, I've decided to move D Wade to the bench, and D Wade's I volunteered.
Right.
The thing is that you can tell by Juliet's energy level that we've been here before.
We really have. It doesn't usually come this early. I was thinking about this. We're still in the first month of the season.
What was the Blatt year?
The Blatt year was 14-15.
And what was their record for? Like, weren't they like 9-8?
Yeah, they
like
were like 500.
Yeah.
I think Royce Young tweeted about that in comparing the current Thunder to that Cavs team.
And the first seed team, right?
In the first seed team, yes. The thing is, though, with this team, they should be better.
Mm-hmm.
Like, on paper, LeBron was like, this is the deepest we've been any season, which like could have been true if this was their roster in 2014.
It could have been true if they had Isaiah Thomas.
Yes.
It could have been true if they had Tristan Thompson. It would have been true if they were getting consistent performances from J.R. Smith, and they don't have Iman Shumpert.
I just don't think the Isaiah Thomas experiment is going to go well. If Isaiah Thomas jumping into LeBron's comments to be like, need me to take care of something is a sign of things to come, I'm just a little bit worried about like what page Isaiah Thomas is on versus what page LeBron's on.
So do you think that Isaiah is trying to curry favor with him?
I think he's like trying to curry favor with him, but also just like out of the loop. Like, is that funny? Like, have we ever seen any of LeBron's other teammates jump into his comments?
No, because usually LeBron is subtweeting them anyway, so they're probably just like, I'm not participating in this narrative. And
like we were just joking, but like very conspicuously, Gordon Hayward is like part of the Celtics, and the Celtics are like, this is our guy. Yes. The Cavs aren't like waiting with bated breath for Isaiah Thomas
to get back. He's been shooting, though. He's been working out. Guys are like, he looks great. Like, I mean, I think that there's like, he's not going to be back until like 2018, but still.
Right. I just don't think that will solve
So here's one thing I noticed right now. This would be my ultimate outcome. I don't know if I can take an entire NBA season of the Cavs being mediocre. But clearly they beat the Bucks. They beat the Wizards. On any given night, they're capable of beating anyone. I would love it if the Cavs were like, you know what? We're going for the 8th seed to play Boston in the first round.
That'd be amazing.
That would be incredible. I mean, you don't want to like leave it too tight. Right now, they're tied for 8th in the East.
That would be phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I could see the Cavs winning.
Yes, me too. Yeah. That would be amazing.
100%. Also, LeBron is just really into like his personal brand right now. Like he was shouting out Lauri Markkanen, and he was like, yeah, he wore my sneakers at
and talking about scouting him at Arizona.
Yeah. And then Barry was like, yes, he wore my shoes. And then J.R. Smith, his only good shooting night was last night, Tuesday evening. And LeBron's like, yeah, he finally put on the bronze and he started shooting better. And I just feel like going for the 8 seed would almost like help LeBron's personal brands. Like, yeah, he really can do it all. He can make the finals from the 8. Like that would actually in some ways like be good for his narrative.
I'm surprised given like what's been happening that we haven't talked more about LeBron leaving next year or whether or not LeBron's uncertain future has affected this roster. I just think it's like a bunch of guys who are a little too old and have a little bit of an ego and probably are like, it was a short camp. I'm not in shape. I'm not playing my best. I'll get it together. The big thing is like you're always trying to pick with the Cavs is like who is LeBron talking about or who is the object of their ire. And it's probably Kevin Love.
Probably.
Because like I felt like Kevin Love had a great game last night and everybody was like, he needs to do that every night. It wasn't like, wow, Kev, it's just so great to play with him. It was like, yeah, you're supposed to be doing that.
Yeah.
That's like, what we pay you for.
It's like you had one job. But here's the thing. They have moved him around the most.
Kev?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not really fair. It's like Gonzo and I talked about this too. Like put him in a position, pick what position he should be playing.
Right.
And have him do that every night. It's not really his fault if it's changing all the time.
Too many cooks in the kitchen.
Too many cooks in the kitchen. That is true. The only like positive of all of this is, or there's many positives. I take that back. I enjoy a Cavs drama.
I enjoy Damian Lillard liking this Instagram for no reason whatsoever. Like just getting involved, making sure people see his name. I did enjoy did Draymond respond to LeBron on Instagram and then Draymond being like, today you guys shot and missed. Like, I love that he like set everybody up for failure there.
Totally. One thing you just said that we haven't talked a lot about LeBron leaving is I just feel like we're still litigating the summer, like basically with every team.
Yeah, you were talking about this earlier. I like this take.
And so it feels a lot like we can't move forward. Like I almost feel like NBA discourse is very similar to political discourse. It's like, where were you when Jimmy Butler got traded? Where were you when Dwayne Wade got his buyout? Where were you when Donald Trump won? Like, where were you on the day of the Women's March? Like, there's so much like behind us that it's like just so different than it was in years past. It's like impossible to even think about the next offseason because it's a season unto itself.
Sure. I mean, I guess if to take your analogy then a step further, would you say that Markelle Fultz's quote-unquote shoulder injury is the Donna Brazile book?
Interesting. I need to parse that a little bit more.
Basically, it's like, it actually doesn't matter. Like, we're reading too much into its impact on voters.
I don't know, Chris. The Fultz thing is a whole bucket of shoulder fluid, if you will.
But are we pouring the shoulder fluid out or pouring it in?
I don't know.
Markelle's going to be fine, man.
It doesn't really matter because Ben Simmons is really good, and so is Joel Embiid.
Yeah. Ben Simmons is like going to be an MVP candidate.
I think Ben Simmons is the Ringer's Rookie of the Year, like unanimously beloved to the Ringer.
Yes,
very extremely rare for a player to be loved like that. It could be Porzingis, except we have so much internal strife with the people who ride the hardest for him that it's going to hurt Porzingis for us. But I also just know that there will be a Porzingis scandal. I'm positive of it. There's no chance
because of his DMs.
Because of his DMs. He's young. He's in New York. I'm just 100% sure.
Brothers in the mix.
Anytime
you have a very strong old family member in the mix.
Yeah. I mean, like, look at the Ball family. We already got a brother scandal for Lonzo. He's not playing well.
Also about like Okafor's dad, kind of not like in a bad way, but just like he's just like around. Like if your son was in the NBA, do you think you would be a fixture? If you had a son and then he was in the NBA.
I think I would want to be like a Sonia Curry type, like really prominently in the stands cheering, but like not interfering with basketball.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's my NBA mom role model.
Okay.
One thing about Draymond also is interesting. He'll throw himself into any fray these days. Like literally, he commented on Bob McNair freely and openly for like a good 7 minutes when Bob McNair had like his horrible inmates comments. He at the end of a game the other night, he kept Curry and Durant on the court to like have like a huddle with them after a victory. And like you said, he's also throwing himself into like all this other Cavs stuff too.
Well, not intentionally, but got involved, and then when it was like misconstrued, it's like I think that we overrate the need to comment. You know, like it's one thing, it's about Taylor Swift and the election or something like that, but Draymond doesn't need to comment on whether or not his Instagram post was about like LeBron or not. And I'm looking at Draymond's Instagram, I would venture to say like probably 80% of it is not done by him because it's a lot of like him walking off a plane and saying back to the Bay.
Yeah,
it's like nobody would actually Insta that.
Right. Counterpoint, we have this LeBron scandal right now where he slid into the DMs of a model named Heidi.
Is there any allegedly we have to throw on that?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, page 6 never lies.
Page 6 never lies. Also, she's got the screenshots.
Okay.
So, I mean, I think we're fine. I guess we could say allegedly to like cover our bases. But
it's not our bases. I mean, like LeBron's bases. I mean, we're in an age of leaks right now, you know?
Okay, Snowden over there. I believe that LeBron does all of his own social media posting.
Okay.
So I think it kind of depends on what kind of star you are.
From an Apple or a Samsung.
Whew, thanks for bringing this up. He was on the finale of Carpool Karaoke on Apple Music with James Corden. It begins right across the street from our office. You can see Sunset Gower Studio. And he's texting. They joke about texting Jay-Z. And you can hear the iMessage sound. You don't see his phone. They conspicuously don't show it.
Yeah.
But you hear the iMessage sound. And I was like, does that mean LeBron has an iPhone? But then I was thinking maybe they put the sound in because he does have a Samsung, but they didn't want to show it because it's Apple. But they wanted like a cue that he had like sent the message. So
gotcha.
Maybe it was added.
So that was like accidentally generic, like the NBA group check podcast music kind of thing.
I think so.
Yeah.
I bet he does have a Samsung. The only way to truly know would be to see what the font looked like in his story. Like when he does like Instagram stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's slightly different on Android. I got to check that out.
Okay. We'll hit that
to me.
2 weeks from now.
But yeah, so LeBron sliding into DMs, not surprising at all.
Okay.
Only surprising thing is being called out for it.
What did he actually say to her? Is he just like great photo?
He was like, asked her something about hunting.
Oh.
She had been hunting or something.
He's just curious about the wild.
I think he saw it in his story.
The outdoors.
He and George Hill, two big proponents of hunting. Check out George Hill's Instagram. It'll blow your mind.
Hard
pass. Let's move on to another team in the Midwest.
Yeah.
The Chicago Bulls.
Yeah.
They literally have infighting. So on the eve of the season, we were doing NBA Preview Palooza, in fact. Bobby Portis clocked Nikola Mirotic, broke his jaw. Mirotic has been out still.
Speaking of like blow by blows, and like, how do we not get the like full story on this yet?
I don't know.
Is it so dark that they can't talk about it?
I think there must be stuff that people don't want to be out there. Because all like Justin Holiday has a quote in the Chicago sometimes like we're the only ones who know what happened in the locker room. And it just and Yeah, that all of the players just are on Portis' side and they want Mirotic gone.
Right.
Even though he's the one who had his jaw broken.
Yes.
Portis got an 8-game suspension for it. And it's really weird. It is strange that no one has leaked what happened.
Yeah.
It speaks to, I think, also just like the level of dysfunction at the Bulls, which was echoed in the Q&A with Jimmy Butler today.
Your third favorite Q&A you read.
My third favorite Q&A of the day, third of three. On ESPN.
Say the first two are.
The first was the Hollywood Reporter interview with Shonda Rhimes and Betsy Beers. A true delight. She's my professional role model. I love
Shonda.
I love Shonda. Yeah, the way she conducts herself is amazing. Number 2 was the Vulture Q&A with Lucas Hedges, one of the young stars of the best movie of the year, Lady Bird. And then Jimmy Butler.
Yeah.
Does Jimmy Butler only agree to that if it's a Q&A?
That's a great question.
We're coming off a huge spate of NBA long reads that are not Q&As, and I was like, interested.
So you think Jimmy Butler had long read fatigue?
No, but I thought maybe there's like a wariness about how you're portrayed when it's not like verbatim.
Especially if, he does talk about what he said to the Bulls,
yes,
which was basically Mir Hoiberg,
yes,
and they made their choice.
There's a lot of this or that in Chicago, apparently.
Yeah. I mean, Chicago, there's a lot of teams where I find Cleveland pretty opaque.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think there's a lot going on in Cleveland that we don't understand. Whether or not LeBron had, how much of a say did LeBron have over the way this roster was constructed? How, if any indications, has he given Dan Gilbert, Kobe Altman, Ty Lue, Dwayne Wade, whoever, about whether he's staying past this year? What is the plan for them? Like, does he want to oversee a rebuild with this Brooklyn pick? Does he want guys shipped in, shipped out? Or is he like, this is my personal journey that I'm doing? So it's like, there are some teams like Cleveland that you're like, oh, it's hard for me to say what's happening there. And even guys like Windhorst will be like, well, this, that, or the other thing, but it's not like flat out LeBron is the shadow GM of this team. With Chicago, it seems like almost everything you read is true.
Totally. And it's kind of wild that the Bulls chose Hoiberg over Butler.
Yeah.
It's a stars league, and by most accounts, Jimmy Butler is a star.
Yes.
So where does that, and Chicago's just in really bad shape.
And Minnesota,
now.
the ugliest, best team in the league, in the sense that they're just a tough watch, but have won, 5-6 in a row?
Yeah, they've won 6 in a row now. And they are playing the Warriors tonight, Wednesday. No Kevin Durant. They are boring. Like, straight up. Just
5 in a row, and they have a negative point differential.
Right.
Not to get too stats heavy here.
That's not what this pod's for.
Right.
No stats necessary.
But that's like an indication of just it's like a tough hang.
Totally. Also, opposite of LeBron, Towns did a whole Instagram story about getting his own girlfriend to respond to him. And I think people read that wrong, is like, oh my God, Towns is going after this girl. And it's like, no, that's his girlfriend. Okay, that's, and I guess it's kind of sweet. And then Wiggins, I can't tell you anything about him. I remember following him when he was a high school senior, and I was like, I don't want to look at this kid's prom pictures. And I've never been interested in going back to the
Wiggins IG.
Yeah, it's just they're just not really a fun squad. Jeff Teague, they're good. That's good, I guess. It's nice for Towns. I want the best for him.
So you're not intrigued by them? What
personality-wise? No.
Yeah. What team are you probably most intrigued by personality-wise right now?
Wow.
You can say Boston if you want.
It's not really Boston. Personality-wise, I think it's the Wizards.
Up and down season for them.
Up and down season. Let me read you some quotes from Kelly Oubre. Here's Kelly on what constitutes an NBA rivalry. I wouldn't say altercations, but I would say altercations. Kelly on his Halloween costume. I was like a Dalmatian / dead rock star. We made it look good. That's all I do. Make stuff look good. Kelly on his putback dunk. I blacked out. God took over my soul at that point. Kelly on the Sixers. I don't trust the process. I trust God. Shout out to JoJo.
What does that even mean?
Pretty iconic.
Yeah. It's not about whether you believe in God or the process.
Are you offended because you're a process truster now? Your dive into the Sixers fandom is wild to behold. I'm really happy for you.
I can't help the fact that a passion is being reawoken in me.
It is a really nice story.
It's not even reawoken. I just also I work with a lot of New Yorkers and Boston guys, and I'm starting to get a little defensive.
Okay.
And also, it's not like the Sixers had a lot of nice things over the last couple of years. So the glimmer of enjoyment that I've gotten has been trounced by all this Markel propaganda.
I can't wait for Christmas Day. Sixers at Knicks.
Yeah.
It's actually going to be, I was like, why are the Sixers and the Knicks playing on Christmas?
And now it's the best.
Now
it's JoJo versus KP.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm really excited
Let's get back to the Wizards, though. I'm sorry.
I
didn't mean to derail us with my maniacal local fandom.
You're such a process truster. I wasn't ready for it. The Wizards are fun because they clearly have a ceiling, but they might not know it.
Yeah, they don't know.
And Scotty Brooks is really nice, but not a good enough coach.
You're seeing the best and worst of Scotty this year, where it's he has taken yet another raw talent and started to develop him into a legit NBA player in Oubre. But I don't know if they are creative enough throughout the game tactically, or if their rotations are great, in terms of their sub patterns and stuff, where they can beat teams when it's crunch time.
Right.
They're basically relying on Wall and Beal.
It's a lot like the Thunder.
Yes.
And John Wall has kind of been up and down. And then I think he might be already banged up already. The way he plays.
Sure yeah, he plays so aggressively.
Yeah.
Man.
And he hurt his shoulder. He had a stinger or whatever.
Yeah.
And
that was a tough fall he took. It was against the Cavs.
Yeah. And he didn't play that well. They got trounced this week and he didn't play great. But I don't know. They're just fun. They're kind of like rabble rousers. And long live the funeral game. I don't know if this Celtics team would not do that, I don't think.
Yeah.
But we just need some rivalries.
I don't like laughing at cocky people because they make things interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I mean, like, I'm never going to knock the Wizards for being like the Cavs ducked us because I'm like, thank God, say something.
Yeah.
Don't just be like, oh, we don't care who we're playing. We're just here to compete.
I think personality-wise, I'm also pretty into the Knicks because I'm pretty sure there'll be a Porzingis scandal, as previously mentioned. Ntilikina is just like excitement to be on the court and like watching his eyes like wide open.
He is like we saw an interview yesterday with him and Batum, and he looks like a child.
Yeah, he's a kid, but like it's like really cool to watch. Like he's developing. They just seem like they've been set free. Like Kyle Quinn has like 4 blocks in like several games already.
You know what's cool about them too is that like because of all the super team stuff, I've lost my faith in the individual's ability to like basically put a team on his back, and that's exactly what Porzingis is doing.
Yeah,
and he's playing with Doug McDermott and Lance Thomas and Kyle O'Quinn and Tim Hardaway Jr.
And Ennis can't play him Cantor.
Yeah. And so, and he is out there doing it himself.
Yeah.
His usage is so high. It's like Jason wrote about him on The Ringer today. It was predictably like paternal.
Yeah.
But we're so used to being like, well, I guess Russ can't do it by himself. But it's like Kristaps is doing it by himself. For like a team that's like a game above 500. I mean,
sure.
They're not getting carried away, but still.
Yeah, whatever. They started out 0-3, and now they've got
they're better than the Cavs.
They're 6-3, I think now. It's great. I also just want to note that Kelly Oubre could be getting fined for his jacket that said "fuck you" on it.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't meet the NBA standards. What Western Conference team is like the most fun?
So purely televisually, I really enjoy watching the Blazers because they play close games. They don't play very good defense. I like watching Nurkic. Anything can happen, and they have good crowds. It's an underrated part of the NBA television experience is the crowd. I often, when I'm watching a Houston game, not shots at the Rockets per se, but
shots at the Rockets.
But shots at the Rockets, which I've done over the years. But even Spurs games, like because they're a late returning from halftime crowd. When I'm watching an NBA game and it is a sparsely attended game, I'm like, what am I doing wrong? How come the people in the town aren't here, but I'm watching?
Right.
Should I be reading a John le Carre book?
You're like, if I'm buying in, these people need to buy in too.
Or I'm wrong. You know what I mean? So I don't like defense. I like a team that plays close games, and I like a big crowd. So that's why I've been watching a lot of Portland recently.
Portland seems to be a hipster team.
To me, they're the Western Conference Wizards in that they have a lot of self-belief, a very hard ceiling, and some really good characters.
Yeah, they do.
Kitty T, and Nurkic on the same team is a pretty great
I love
mix.
Nurk. He's absolutely my favorite player.
How you feeling about Myers? He hasn't really played. He's been injured. Kind of off the Myers boat.
I've written him off. He's nothing to me anymore.
Okay. So that's my Western Conference
most fun team.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, it's the Lakers.
Sure.
Why
not?
Having a lot of fun with Kuz. I like that also Richard Sherman was wearing a Kuzma jersey yesterday.
Yeah.
Welcome to the team, Rich. Do you think he goes by Rich?
I think he goes by Rick.
Rick
Sherman.
Rick Sherman. That's what everyone calls him. Should we just do a little OKC, our passion team?
Yeah, sure.
It's tough right now.
They're getting grouchy, which is fine. And I think they have a lot of, there's a lot of scrutiny. But somebody was asking Russ about his free throws. He missed those 3 at the end of one of those games.
Blazers,
the Blazers game. And he just kind of like rolled his eyes. Russ is already going to be pretty antagonistic with the press no matter what. But in losing times, I think he's like a little annoyed. It's just obvious that it's just not working right now.
I don't like blaming Russ. I think that he's actually the least of their problems. Like many people in our office are like, look at all the players who got better since they left playing with Russ. But Charks wrote about this. It was very optimistic. It so far has not been true. But Russ is like looking to distribute. Like he's looking to be a team player. He's not looking to take over the games. He does it like in the last 2 minutes. But first of all, we don't fault LeBron for doing that. He does that. He's been doing that for the last 4 years.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to fault Russ for it. And second of all, he's needed to when he's done that. It's because like they don't have an offensive system.
They have it. Their system is Russ drives, makes an acrobatic pass back out to the top of the key, and whoever's there takes the 3.
Yes.
And that's just not an offense.
No, it's really not. And I want more for them. I wanted Melo to be happy in Oklahoma.
I think they will be happy. I think that was like a weird ejection against the Blazers for Melo, and they got back in the game with the power of Ray Felton. But I don't know. I mean, like I'm definitely ready to sound the alarm about certain teams.
Sure. I'm ready to sound the alarm about the Heat. I'm pretty disappointed that my guy,
I think
Hassan Whiteside has been benched.
Yeah.
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 They're in trouble. Also, Dion Waiters was like not at a game and they played really badly. If you're relying on Waiters that much, it's probably a problem.
Have you been satisfied with the level of drama or gossip this season?
No, I haven't.
Is it because it's like retreads of stories past?
Here's a good example.
I mean, this podcast will go on. I'm just asking, like in general. Like
totally. I think there's 2 things. One is we started doing this kind of podcast because of Paul George when he was dating Callie Rivers.
This is a perfect metaphor for where we're at.
Yeah. he was dating Callie Rivers, and they broke up because he ended up having a child with another woman.
Right.
Then there's like a lot of reporting around that, and like that was like a real crossroads for him. I remember a really good Candace Buckner profile of Paul George like a year after that, of him trying to like kind of really rehabilitate his image, and the Pacers were back in the Eastern Conference Finals. Okay. So that was like the Paul George that kind of inspired the kind of gossipy nature of this podcast.
Sure.
I find out last week Paul George is a second child.
They all grow up.
With the same woman.
Yeah.
They're still together. And I just was like, wow, how's beautiful. They're starting a family. That's lovely. But that is not the kind of salacious story that drives my NBA gossip
I think we're
mind.
just tired of the LeBron ones too.
Yeah, also there's just a lot of harmony in the league. I think that's part of the super team thing is there's less room for rivalries, and one of the reasons why the East I am finding more fun than the West is because there are more teams that could have a shot because
Yeah, like
they're not
random
as good.
Pacers, Magic,
The Pacers
Knicks,
are in the playoff hunt after 3 weeks. The Hornets are, I'm like, oh, okay, Kemba Walker is like really like wants this year.
Yeah.
Like there's sort of like, there's more of like a hunger among those players because there's more of an opportunity. There's like less of a foregone conclusion that Kawhi will come back and the Spurs will be fine. The Thunder will rest Kevin Durant against the Wolves and it doesn't matter. The Wolves will grind out enough wins to get the 4 or 5. Like, even if OKC doesn't make it and you're like, okay, that opens up space for someone, we knew going into the season that 10 teams in the West would be in contention.
I think if OKC ever turns on each other, it'll be really interesting. I think the problem, we spent the entire first part of this podcast talking about LeBron James, and it's just like he doesn't really commit to the bit. It's like he trolls a little bit, he puts up things, he's not stupid, he knows that putting up the Arthur meme is going to like unsettle some people. And then he doesn't say like, it's because I wanted Bledsoe, or it's because I'm mad that we keep losing, or it's because I wish Kevin Love like didn't go gray.
Right. The biggest drama in the Eastern Conference is Kyrie Irving not believing the Earth is round, which Micah wrote about, and like his like back and forth on that, and then like seemingly questioning the moon landing as well.
Yeah,
that's distinctly less fun than like LeBron James sliding into someone's DMs.
Sure.
So we support science, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
The Earth is round, without question.
We're a round Earth podcast.
I thought you were going to say we're rounders. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. I don't know how to gamble or play cards, but whatever.
I bet by the next pod,
we'll
be back in the mix. The pre-Thanksgiving pod, we'll have something to talk about.
That's true. Also, I just want to say that I think all of like the top unicorns, kind of except for Towns, are destined for scandal. So like, that's cool by me. Like, I'm sure there'll be like some kind of beef between Simmons and Embiid, like for sure.
These guys are all using Cyberdust now.
Okay, I could still like find out about a fight between teammates, you know?
That's true.
So whatever. And they're not, because girls aren't using Cyberdust. So like maybe they're like talking to each other about like something that could be like construed as tampering, but Kristaps Porzingis is not like DMing someone like, hey, can you join Cyberdust so I can DM you in Sketchily, and it disappears? Like that's not happening. So until Cyberdust really takes off, sorry to Mark Cuban, I'm confident in believing that we will be getting more Instagram models airing out NBA players, and I can't wait.
Okay, until next time.
I'm Juliet Litman.
I'm Chris Ryan.
It's been the NBA show.
Yeah.
This special edition of the Ringer NBA Show is brought to you by SeatGeek, the presenting sponsor of the Bill Simmons podcast on the Ringer Podcast Network. Buy and sell tickets in 2 taps on your phone. Everything fully guaranteed. NBA fans, $20 off your first SeatGeek purchase on NBA tickets. Use promo code BSNBA. $20 off your first purchase. Download the SeatGeek app. There you go. Here he is, my friend, Pastor Carl. Pastor Carl's in the house. Carl Lentz. What's the name of your book?
Own the Moment.
We've done this podcast already. We just didn't tape it.
It's true. Am I the first pastor you've ever had?
You're my first pastor, period.
Ever that you've ever...
I'm not a religious person, but that's how I was raised.
Yeah.
It's my mom's fault, my dad's fault.
Anytime we can blame the parents in the first 2 minutes, we're there.
Yeah, let's do it. But first, it was first 30 seconds.
It's true. It's true. Thank you for having me, though. I appreciate it. It's awesome.
Well, I love talking to real basketball fans. There's only very few.
I totally agree.
Select
I am
group.
at least that.
So your name started popping up. I don't know, when did you start popping in these stories? Like 2 years ago?
I think probably even before that, with KD, some people saw us together, and I knew Jay Will, the Duke Jay Will, not the white chocolate Jay Will.
Chauffeur, possible shooter Jay Will.
Definitely not option
that Jay
3.
Will.
There's
Okay.
2 options, and I think so people kind of knew, but then, when KD started to kind of take his faith in a different way, I was around, so people were like, "Who's the random white guy?"
Right.
Yeah.
So you became a mysterious figure in basketball circles, a little like my friend Worldwide Wes. People are like, "Who's this guy? What does he want? What does he get out of it?"
Somebody
And you start
actually
dealing with
tried
that.
to insult me one time by saying, "You're like the white Worldwide West," to which I was like, "Did we just become best friends?" It's like the coolest thing anyone's ever said.
Yeah.
But I know Wes, and I'm not him. He makes way more money, and he's much more mysterious and cool. But yeah, so yeah, just if you get around certain people, they're gonna make up stuff about you and just speculate.
There are some similarities, though.
Tell me.
So, first of all, you're in it for the relationship. You're not actually trying to get something out of it. You're more like you've accumulated these relationships that mean a lot to you.
Yeah.
And you're there for the people, but you don't ask them for anything, which is the same thing. Wes is always like a conciliatory big brother type, especially like last decade, but wasn't like, "Hey, cut me a check, buy me a car." Like he was just kind of in it for the conciliatory aspect of it and figured out everything else would work out.
Yeah, I think I start kind of with one foot back, because most guys who do know pastors, they have been either taken advantage of or have a couple bad experiences. So a lot of guys are really hesitant to trust people on this level. So for me, not having an agenda is pretty cool. Like we have a great church, I have a great family, and I wouldn't say I ask for nothing. Like I do ask for game shorts.
Right.
And I do take
Game
free
shorts.
shoes all day. I love game shorts. I play in them. So I wouldn't say I asked for nothing. And I did ask one time for, I think it was KD, to somehow call the 2K people and boost my guy from the start. I don't know if you're a 2K gamer. I am.
I'm retired. I'm in my 40s.
So
my late 40s
I
now.
turned 39 today. It's my birthday, by the way.
Yeah. Happy
And
birthday.
So I still play video games. I'm not ashamed of that. But one time I was like, man, I don't have time to rank my guy up. And Kyrie has like an awesome ranking. I'm like, can you call somebody? Kevin, can you call somebody? So I called the 2K people, and they ranked my guy up. So any of your listeners that know how awesome that is in 2K, rather than be like the bum, my guy was like one of the legends on the court. So that was a perk, and I'm not ashamed of that either. So
That's a pretty good one.
but I think my relationships with these guys is based on trust and just giving help when needed and not needing much.
Yeah. Tell the audience how big your church is.
We probably have maybe 9,000-10,000 people come on a weekend in New York.
And where is it located?
A block from MSG at the Hammerstein Ballroom.
So how many people at one time in there?
It depends on how we seat it, and it's like different services at different times have like standing room only, or there'll be a little bit more space, maybe 2,000.
Okay.
Yeah, and we have a service in New Jersey as well.
What was the tipping point moment when you went from basketball fan who just knew these guys as guys you watched on TV and saw in person versus you were involved in somebody's life?
That's a good question. I think it was kind of natural, because really the first NBA guy or that level that I hung out with was Jay Williams, and we were playing basketball together, and we became friends, and I kind of forgot that he was Jay Williams, and then I realized, moving forward, how normal some of these guys are, and that we do have a unique lane. And Jay Will, by the way, can still play, but I remember why we bonded is because we almost got into a fight in a pickup game. Me more supporting him, and he was like, "Man, you're a pastor? That doesn't make any sense." I'm like, "You need to broaden your church view, because we are not playing charity ball out here. It's God's will that we win, and we'll cheat to do it." So that resonates with people.
So then what happens next? How do you all of a sudden have KD in your life?
Well, the KD relationship began because I knew one of the background staff guys at Oklahoma, and I can't say his name because I don't want to get him in trouble, because I don't know if OKC is okay with other guys reaching out. But I met him.
They'll start following him from the airport.
He he knew of our church, and he just said, hey, some of our guys, kind of know about what you guys are doing. Can you pray for them? To which I was like, yeah, I'd love to pray for them right now. And then they ended up coming out, him and Russell, later that night, and I met them both. And that was it. Just kind of hit it off with both of them, and we stayed in touch.
And the teams are automatically skeptical, scared.
100%.
What's this guy?
But if you're connected to like the biggest guy on the team, they can't do anything because there's a lot of weirdos in there. So I think some teams cut their losses with me. They're like, we don't trust you. We don't really know who you are, but we also, maybe this would err on the side of being better than worse. So we'll give you a break. But yeah, but some teams are cool though. Like some teams are really, they open the doors, and then other teams are just really skeptical, and that's funny to me. Because I'm like, I'm the last guy you need to worry about. Like, I'm definitely stealing stuff out of your equipment room. But other than that,
I might steal your
I'm
shorts.
good. Yeah. I'm taking shots and warm-ups if I can. But I used to do that in college. Like, my boys would come to the sideline, and right before that last buzzer, I would always roll the ball to the corner, and the dudes would come out and shoot. So I've shot a couple on NBA courts, which is cool.
Religion in the NBA has been a mixed bag over the years, and you even saw it with when Mark Jackson flamed out in Golden State. All those stories came out after about that team got too religious, and certain guys didn't like it, and they're praying and doing all these things in the locker room, and it split the locker room apart. Who knows how much of that is overblown? But how does we know how religion fits in? You see it with football, and in basketball, basketball locker rooms are more melting pots. I mean, you're talking
totally.
You get the black guys, you get the white guys, you have the black guys who came from the worst possible backgrounds, the guys who came from middle class. Then you have all these foreign dudes.
Yes. The foreign guys are awesome, though. Most of the time, they
awesome with the religious part, or
just in general? They're just, you know how Dirk, you have in your book how he amalgamated into like this hip hop German dude.
Yeah,
so,
with hip hop German accent.
Yeah, so I think a lot of the German guys I've found, like Bino's one of my close friends, and they're just really, really good locker room guys. But yeah, it is a melting pot of religion and faith and weird beliefs. So yeah,
can you have faith in a locker room? Can you have collective faith?
No, and it shouldn't be an issue. The problem is when somebody in an organization tries to force something. And I think in Golden State, when Mark Jackson was there, he got a bad rap for that. I don't think that's the way it went down, because David Lee's one of my great friends. Shout out to David Lee, who's engaged.
Yeah. I'm excited for that engagement because I love when athletes marry each other.
Well, imagine
he married
that child.
Wozniacki.
I don't know. She's an awesome chick. I don't know how to pronounce her. Yeah, I'm just call her Mrs. Lee.
Yeah, future Mrs. Lee.
But they're going to have a child that's going to be a dominant athlete.
They're going to have a tall, athletic child with good hand-eye.
Yeah. So,
maybe a lefty, too.
Yeah, that would be even better. I don't think Golden State was as heavy-handed as it seems, but Mark Jackson's so charismatic that if he says, hey, y'all, we're going to church, you could take it as like not an option, when Mark Jackson would mean it as an option, so you get the whole team going, and then it just, I think it was a bad narrative on that. But yeah, I don't think anything should be forced on anybody.
All right, so take somebody like Kyrie, somebody you're close to.
Yeah. Varying degrees of closeness, because these guys have big lives. But
Yeah.
When
do you get involved in his life, and how does that work out?
Completely need to know. So I have I always tell guys that I get to work with, like, hey, I'm here for you if you need me. You don't have to respond to my text. You don't have to call me for anything. I'm just here. And sometimes guys will reach out when they need it, and if they're going through stuff, and the rest is on them.
Yeah. So with KD, do you get you got to the point where you were involved with his whole decision in 2016?
I think I was involved just because of proximity. Like, involved meaning talking to him and just hearing him out. Like, had no hand in it. There's some stuff that was written about me having a hand in even Kyrie's thing, and I keep saying it's not like that. Like, we're not back there. I'm not good enough and smart enough. I
thought it was you and Bieber to convince him to go to leave the Cavs.
Apparently I have time to be an NBA agent and a tour manager. But no, with Kevin, I know what went into that decision. That was heart-wrenching for him, and it wasn't callous. It was like the biggest deal ever, and he really did what was in his mind best for him. And it hasn't paid off yet. Also known as, of course it did. He's a champion.
Yeah.
He's playing on the best team maybe that we're going to see in a long time, and I'm happy for him, because a lot of guys do stuff out of pressure, which makes no sense. Loyalty to an organization, even though we know the moment these guys retire, loyalty means you get like a free seat, and they honor you twice a year at midcourt. So I just think...
Or you might become an announcer for the team.
Maybe at best. And I think for him, it's like, bro, you got to maximize this window. You're never going to get it back. Make as much money as you can. Do what you want. Have fun. Because Kevin, he left Texas at 19, was drafted, thrown in the mix. It's like if you get to any profession and have the right to write your own ticket, do that. Nobody gets to do that. So enjoy it. I think he did that.
Yeah, the first time we did a podcast, we argued about it.
He's your unofficial co-host.
I listen.
Is this where he sits? Am I in this
No,
chair?
he's never been in here. We've always been. He only plays home games on the podcast.
That's big time.
You're sitting where Charlize sat, though. That's a holy sofa now.
I feel the anointing.
But the thing with KD, though, I see it both ways. Being a super competitive person,
Yeah,
I get the side where people are like, that team beat him in the playoffs, and then he went and played with them. And those people who believe that are never going to be swayed from it, and I get it.
yeah.
I'm also like, I don't know, for some reason I just felt, and I've talked about this a million times, but the situation he was in OKC, some of the moves they made, and just like what his life was like up to that point, the reason that he left actually really made sense to me.
Yeah.
And it did make me reevaluate how I felt about some of this other stuff. I hated what LeBron did in 2010.
Right.
And now I look back at it and it's like, makes a little more sense. He wanted to change. He saw Wade, not like a father figure, but like somebody who could be like his brother and he could go to war with.
Yeah.
And get Bosh and just start new somewhere else. He really wanted it. He'd been in the same place his whole life. When you talk to some of these guys, the whole theme of them being trapped in a certain city seems like it's a much bigger deal than we realize.
I think that there was a rookie who just came out recently, and he said, the NBA life is so boring. Did you read that? It was very funny. Malik Monk said that. And it was funny because they probably told him not to say that, but people forget, like, it's cool to get drafted and get money, but then you get into the real life grind. And the NBA life is like it's a tough one. It's tunnel vision, the same place all the time, kind of just doing that same routine. And I think a lot of guys forget these are young men who want to live their life. And so if you get a chance to break out and do something new and free, and got to do it. So I'm with you. I thought we always look back at pioneers with like joy, but in the moment they're not pioneers. They're just like people who are complicated, right? So LeBron changed the game. A couple of years from now, we'll look back and be like, yeah, players should do what they want to do. But that wasn't cool back then. So I think I like this generation of guys having a little bit more control rather than an organization manipulating them or putting undue, burden on them.
I'm torn on it. I see it. I think it's...
Do you wish he would have stayed in OKC?
KD?
Yeah.
So, no. I actually think he should have left. And I think the timing of it with this weird salary cap situation where it was basically this 1 year to go to the Warriors.
Yeah.
That made sense with the cap. No other year it would have worked. And it was this 1 year, and he wanted to go and change his life. I wish he had gone to a different team. But as he pointed out when we argued about it, so if he goes to Boston, he's not guaranteed to win a title there either.
Yeah.
I guess that's the part that a lot of people got stuck on is...
They're so
But
good
why does he
already.
have to? Yeah, why does he have to guarantee a title? That's not how competitiveness works.
Yeah.
That part I don't have an answer for.
Yeah, I don't think there are answers to that stuff. I think it's a personal thing for him, and it is
I will
what it
say
is.
though, the more time I've spent with him talking to him about this stuff, I really do think he cares about a higher level of basketball, and I think that was the most appealing thing to him is that he felt like the situation he was in was not a good basketball situation. That he wasn't growing as a player. He wasn't challenged. It was a lot of one-on-one and just kind of like the basketball that sucked last decade. And there was this level that I felt like he felt was out there. And he's been pretty candid about that. But it's not much different than what happened with Kyrie. And I think people felt like Kyrie's crazy. Why would he leave LeBron? LeBron just made 7 straight finals. But then if you watch Kyrie in these Celtic games, if you listen to the quotes that he's had,
Right.
it's clear that he's so happy right now. He's like, this is what I was hoping was out here. We had this coach.
Let's talk about Brad Stevens' brain.
Yeah, I'm using all these parts of me that I always felt like I had, and I wasn't. And now he's bought in, and he's been a completely different player all around.
I think it's like a running back. I mean, if you can get 4 or 5 yard gains running through the tackles, but if you want to go to a team that runs screens and you can dominate on that, to me, that was more Kyrie. He could be successful there, but he wanted to be in a different system, and I think he's got the I think we're seeing that he gambled on himself.
Yeah, KD had an answer. I asked him, we did a mailbag one, the last podcast we did. And I asked him, it was like, what's the hottest you've ever been or whatever? And then I asked, could you have ever gone for 70 in a game? And he's like, I wouldn't do that. That's not a good game.
That's not his psyche, yeah.
I'm trying to make the best basketball play. The best basketball play almost never is to go for 70 points.
Right.
And what's interesting is watching Kyrie these last couple weeks on the Celtics. He's had games. There's been a couple already when he could have gone for 55.
Yeah.
He might have gotten it. He might have taken 35 shots or whatever. But he would never do that. He's like trying to make the right basketball play over and over again.
He's good. He's so much fun
I think
to watch.
some guys are like that.
Yeah.
I think LeBron, when LeBron went for 57 against Washington this season, last week, not typical for him. He kind of felt like he had to. His team was playing like crap. So I think for some of these guys, the basketball destiny part of it really does seem important. And I'm sure you've heard that, right?
Yeah. I mean, guys want to be thought of well. They want to get their name in the history books. People forget these dudes are the top 1% of this craft. And, that stuff matters to them a lot. Yeah. By the way, I think LeBron is looking really good. I don't know if people have seen, have you seen him play live this year?
No, I haven't seen him play live, but I've watched on TV, and he's just like athletically is starting to feel like Shaq-ish. And I mean that as a compliment. Like,
exactly, well said.
He's in 12 feet and in on the basket. He's become really kind of unstoppable.
But they're really precise moves. Like his Euro isn't trying to get around a guy as much as it is to, I just might clip you as well. And you're going to go through the backstop. I'm talking about big guys. I saw them lose to the Nets the other night, live and in color. I just could not believe how fluid he is. But I also saw him pregame standing on this core.
Yoga thing. Haberstroh wrote about that. Yeah. He's these little yoga bubbles.
He's ahead of the game with his. Honestly, he could be like how Rashid kind of developed later on. He could play any position for 5-6 more years if he wants. He could just be a post guy. And never run again.
There's a whole Karl Malone chapter of his career that we might be about to enter.
I'm up for it.
He's just a lot of half court post up, but then also running point guard on breaks.
Interesting about Kyle Korver, because they were in town. I caught up with him, who's just a legend. You would love him on this. He's got a million awesome perspectives. But he was saying the biggest difference playing with LeBron is where he used to be able to catch the ball. And he has to live like this because he's like LeBron throws fireballs.
Right.
So he's had to adjust to, because he's always been an amazing shooter. But whereas maybe he could do this, like with LeBron, you just never know when he's going to do that. I've never seen anybody since Magic make that, when he looks this way and he guns that thing.
Yeah.
Kyle Korver said that's been new. It's the ball comes right there. So you got to have that split second.
He's probably in some gym testing it.
Yeah, he's sitting there with dialing.
It is cool how he keeps adding stuff to his game this late. Like when he had the 57 against DC, I went and looked it up immediately because I was like, has anybody in year 15 ever had a game like that? It's like nobody's come close to.
No way.
With the rebounds and the points and the efficiency that he had in that game. It's completely uncommon, but we're seeing this in football too with Brady.
Yeah.
And in the old days, we would just suspect PDs or something, but now it seems like you see all the stuff these guys are doing off the court, and actually is more logical. There's LeBron standing on these little yoga bubbles, and he's working out for 4 hours in the morning. He's
pretty sure Kobe was onto some of this. We were making fun of him, sleeping in hyperbaric chambers and doing weird things. And but I think that. And
the thing is, if Kobe hadn't snapped his Achilles, I think he could have kept going. The problem is once you're knocked out of it, your body can't come back to where it was. You know what I mean?
That's what all the guys I know that are getting older say. They're like, it's not the game as much as it is the game after.
Yeah.
And it's not the workouts. It's like the fifth workout in July, late August, that you're like, man, I just don't feel as young.
People are saying that's why your basketball game slipped a little.
It hasn't slipped.
You're
that's
just
the
not.
thing.
You're not.
I've never been better than I am right now.
You're peaking. You're like LeBron. Are you standing on yoga bubbles?
Yeah, I do. I do it all. I feel like I have gotten better, and I played a couple times with NBA guys, and I last approximately 2 minutes and mysteriously sub myself out. So when Melo had those runs a couple years ago.
Oh, the Hoodie Melo?
This is before Hoodie Melo. This is when Terminal 23 was a Jordan gym, and I was in there. I played one whole game, pick up one time. I had Andre Drummond on my team, and I did what everyone logically would do, which is feed the ball to Drummond. And he was awesome. But the problem is guarding anybody.
Yeah.
Like, you can survive if you can shoot, maybe, but once they sniff out that, like, hey, who's this guy? And they clear out, and then you're embarrassed forever, on somebody's phone. So I'm always like, my hamstring, somebody get me. But
yeah, you can be Kyle Korver until you're I was till my mid 40s, like about 44. I had this
because
whole.
I don't hear you talking about playing a lot of pickup anymore.
Well, because I'm retired now. I'm old.
You really hung it
I
up?
might come back I may make one comeback next year, but. Yeah, you can survive if you understand basketball from an IQ standpoint and you know where to go, what to do, what not to do.
And if you have friends,
keep going.
If you have friends out there, if you have friends looking out for
people you played with.
If you don't know anybody, they will eat you alive. I've seen like rappers come out and in their mind, because rappers in their mind they're good at everything. These aren't your boys. No one thinks you can play, and they just eat them alive. It's awesome. There are some rappers that can play though.
Are you involved at all in that weird underground summer pickup scene? It feels like you are.
My friend Chris Brickley is the generator of it, and he is my
Let's
boy.
talk about this.
Chris is a guy who kind of does what I do, except for on the basketball side. So he's got a lot of trust with guys, and he's so good at what he does. A lot of guys gravitate towards him, and it just happened where everyone's looking for a place to play pickup. Nobody wants to play with average guys, and they're all in town for Fashion Week. And I think Chris just maximized the moment. Shout out to my book, On the Moment. And he has access to all these guys. So I saw all those games, and it was awesome.
How'd they decide?
I'm
never heard
sure
the
LeBron.
adequate.
I think LeBron and KD probably picked them, and Chris had something to do.
I thought
with
Brickley was the one who made
Yeah,
the teams.
Chris would have, but I'm sure he's going to check with those two guys. I don't have facts on that, but I don't know who picked the teams, but they were good teams. There's always a random dude who plays overseas that you forgot about. That's out there killing because he's got something to prove.
Yeah, he's with big giant chip on his shoulder.
Right, and then the NBA guys pick up their pace a little bit, and it gets really. Most of the games were pretty good, pretty intense.
All right, so if we say the bottom shelf intensity is the All-Star game.
Yes, the bottom.
The next rung is Summer League. Next rung is preseason. And next rung is like a really boring regular season game in like New Orleans. And from the 9,000 people, where do these
We're going to
games
shift
rank?
it to the right and say it's its own thing because I think guys work on one specific thing. So LeBron will go out there and go, from what I can see, I think maybe they're not trying to. I know with Melo, one day, who's just working on this post move. So no matter where he was, he wasn't shooting a lot of threes. He just kept going down to the post and doing the same thing over and over. And I think some of those guys in the summer, they're like, I'm not going to bust my butt right now, but I'm going to work on this. So LeBron work on a step back or whatever. But it's intense because those guys are proud.
Yeah.
So they might try to act cool, but when it gets down to it,
What kind of shit talking is going on?
it's more respectful. It's nobody really going at it unless Russell's involved. If Russell's there, it seems like everybody, because Russell doesn't care who you are.
Yeah.
He would play in flip flops, and try to win. But I think most of the time I didn't see any like real. Anybody young out there gets definitely no respect. It's very funny. They might try to pretend to call a ball, and the people will be like didn't even happen.
KD said Carmelo went through a phase where he was just calling every cheap foul. If he didn't make the shot, he'd call the foul late, and it would
Him and
problem.
Dante Jones, who is out there. He's a monster out there.
Yeah.
But they'll go at people for sure. They'll go at people.
I'm surprised they let Dante Jones in that game.
Well, I mean, he means business. So I think you need people that are going to play D and not have to have the ball all the time. But he's a huge asset because he goes at it all the time. They had that rookie or a guy who's at Kentucky this year, I think, some giant dude.
Yeah.
But you see some guys who you're like, wow, right away you're going to be something special. And you see other guys, you could tell they got a couple years before they have the heart to be able to match.
Can you see
together.
like all that alpha dog stuff? Kind of
All day.
All the seeds are there, right?
All day?
Yeah.
You can see it. Yeah.
Because like Westbrook to me doesn't seem like he can play basketball any other speed than the speed he's at.
No.
If he's in the All-Star game, he's at that speed.
Yeah, and he's looking at everybody else like they're crazy. Russell's like, I'm getting 50. I'm getting the MVP. If you want to be Joe Cool, that's fine. But I'm gonna go ahead and get 50, and I don't care if anybody likes it. And I love that about Russ, by the way.
Cameras? Do they take all the phones?
No cameras. LeBron has a lot of dudes that roll with him. Like he has some heavy hitting security. So there'd be like these sweet little people who live in that building, and they'd be no cameras. And some lady just like walk into her apartment, and he has to go away in shame. But yeah, there's not a lot of phones in there. Chris edited all those and had his guys get the photos that people saw. I got a couple, but
no money.
No money. No.
They don't play like 211, $2,000 a person.
Not that I know of.
LeBron's Venmoing Carmelo money afterwards.
Not that I know of. I don't think they had any money on that stuff.
What is the ideal number of an entourage for these guys? Whether it's Bieber or Carmelo or whoever.
It depends on what stage of the career.
Oh,
so,
I like this. What's that mean?
I think early on in the career, you have a lot of guys around you because you don't know what to do. And you don't know who to trust. You don't know where to go. So you have a lot of friends.
So you trust the dudes that liked you when you didn't have anything.
A lot of guys have mixed loyalty. So a lot of guys will say, if you're with me from the beginning, you're with me for life.
Yeah.
And I always tell guys, like, loyalty is about a principle, not a person. So if the person sticks with the principle that got them there, cool. But if they don't, being loyal doesn't mean letting the guy that's been with you from day one continue to fleece you and steal and put you in bad positions. So a lot of guys have to learn that the hard way. Like, but that's my guy. He's been with me forever. Yeah, he's been terrible forever.
Yeah, that guy's been with you forever with his hand out.
If he doesn't change with your growth, he's got to go. And a lot of guys make that decision.
It seems like from I wouldn't say I have limited experience because I've crossed a lot of paths at this point.
Pretty sure that's an understatement. You're kind of like
not
your own guy, though.
Not as many as you. No, I'm my own guy, but I'm just saying from what I've seen with the Hoopers.
Yeah.
They like to have their dudes, and it's usually 2 or 3.
Yeah.
From back home.
Yep.
And you know whether back home is like high school or like
College,
AAU or college, but there are these 2 or 3 people. They just trust those guys.
Yep.
And they don't. Everybody else is regarded suspiciously until
takes a while.
They cross. Like KD has Rich, who's like Rich Kleiman, who's like his dude now.
Yeah.
I'm sure there was a feeling out period where he's like, I'm not sure with this guy. I like this guy, but
yeah.
And over the course of time, he became a guy.
Well, Kevin is a trusting guy. So I think with Rich, who's just an awesome guy, he was quick to give trust. But Kevin's had some guys he's had his whole life that he just trusts, and you could tell those guys are different than the hangers-on. There's some guys who genuinely love these guys, and they're like, I don't care if you're rich or not, I'm your guy. Anything you need. And there's other guys who they love the life. You could tell they love it. And if that were to change, I don't know if they'd be around. So
like, how deep is LeBron's entourage now? Because he's got to have bodyguards and stuff too.
LeBron is like a professional corporate mogul. I mean, he runs. He's got the tightest crew, tightest camp I've ever seen in my life.
Everybody's got a job.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And if you don't produce, and you're not if you don't help his image, he does. And I think it's smart. I don't think you're going to be able to be around LeBron for a while. So you never see LeBron in tabloids. You never see him in trouble. You never see him, and partly because he lives a pretty solid, clean life. But the other thing is he's got guys that represent him well.
Yeah, LeBron, considering when he became famous and all the pressure he's been under.
He's done awesome.
He really has.
It's unbelievable. And I know we're in an NBA culture where no one likes to give credit to anybody, but my gosh, has LeBron changed the game.
It should have gone a lot worse.
A lot worse. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of... the dumbest thing he did was the decision. I still think that was stupid. I don't think him leaving was stupid, but I think him doing it as a TV show was just really callous to the Cleveland fans. It's still indefensible.
Yeah, and I see that in my profession a lot, where you'll see a guy, a big-time pastor, say something where it's not them, but you're like, who told you that was going to go over well? And I think that happens with NBA guys all the time.
But like somebody like Westbrook, he's not a huge entourage guy. He
has no entourage.
Yeah, he's married. He does his own thing.
Have you ever seen his dad?
His dad's ripped, right?
Yeah, his dad looks like he's 37.
Yeah.
And his mom is incredible. His brother Ray, who is awesome. He's at everything. But I'm pretty sure Russell's entourage includes Ray and his wife. He doesn't. He's that kind of guy where he's like, I'm good. I don't need friends.
Right.
I don't care if you like.
He's
me
happy
or
in
not.
Oklahoma City.
But he's also. Have you talked to him? Have you had him on this couch yet?
No, he doesn't like me.
I don't think he.
He doesn't like. Him and KD were mad about the Harden trade stuff. Because
I'm not taking credit for this.
call me crazy, but I was on national television talking about how stupid it was to trade James Harden. I don't know. It was one of my wacky opinions.
I went to bat for you before Kevin liked you. I know Rich might try to take credit for this link.
Rich takes credit.
Rich, I publicly defy that.
Katie was the maddest about the Harden stuff.
But I remember...
Like, it's my job to talk about this stuff.
But you weren't necessarily wrong. And I think,
definitely was not wrong.
But, guys get attacked so much that they're quick to hate all media guys. But I think with any criticism, see if it's true. First step to any criticism, before you get mad, see if there's any truth to it.
Well, I think with that one, it hurt. It actually was too close to home.
Yeah.
And now that we've done these podcasts, in the fourth mailbag one, KD talked about the Harden trade's like the biggest what if of his career. He never would have admitted that 2 years ago. But it is crazy that these three guys, like Harden, we're taping this on a Monday. Harden had 56 points on 25 shots last night. He's on the same team with Westbrook and Durant.
It's shocking to think about. Do you think they could have survived, though, with those three guys being...
I don't know. I think they would have had to take different forms that might not have been as good for their ultimate destiny.
But that includes... That's three-person humility. I don't know if that's happened. At that level?
It's happened. Like, you saw it. I mean, you have to go way back.
Yeah, well,
you'd have to go back to like Russell Celtics and stuff like that.
Those days don't count.
Yeah, those days don't count.
I don't know.
You've seen it on the Dream Team.
Yes.
You've never seen it over the course of a whole season and over the course of multiple seasons,
Yeah.
It's right. Tough. Basketball, this is why I love the stats, but at some point the stats only go so far.
Yeah.
Because there's still this whole other part of basketball that people don't account for. Like, all right, Westbrook won the MVP last year. I didn't think he should have, but he was a candidate.
Yeah.
I would have not put him below top 3. But now you look at Cantor leaves, he goes to New York, all of a sudden he's an asset again.
Yeah.
Oladipo leaves, gets in better shape, so not all that's on Westbrook, but goes to his team, he's empowered, he's playing better. Sabonis looked like a bozo last year. Like, he looked like a complete bust and is now an above-average starting center, and you got to look back at that and you go, did Westbrook was the MVP, but did he make those guys better? No. The situation made him better.
I think when you're astute at pointing out a lot that if you're not on the inside of the NBA, you miss tone and vibe. Like vibe of a team. Like, so if a team gets a win, watch them walk to the bench. Like, you can find out so much in interactions. Like, so you got to win, but this dude has hit 3 in a row and a teammate should clap. Teammate's still shaking his head, looking at his boy in the stands. That's something you can't statistically.
Some of that's set from the coach too. It's the coach and the best player.
Absolutely.
Like Stevens with the Celtics, the guys, your minutes might get yanked around, whatever, but you look over the bench, they're all locked in.
It's culture. It's culture all day long, and coaches set that. Like, they're not having it at Steven Jackson, who's a legend. He gets removed from the team. I think that's pretty heavy, and that's San Antonio culture will not accept anything less than the best.
Right. You think you're as good as Kawhi, you're not. You have to go.
Yep. I know Kevin has said some coaches would tell him ahead of time, hey, I'm going to say this and that in front of the guys, and then come out and do it. And then it's like, I think players respect. All I've ever heard about Steve Kerr is he treats you exactly the same everywhere. So if he's going to chew you out, it's going to be in front of people. If he's going to praise you, it's going to be in front of people. That sets a tone of accountability.
He learned that from Popovich and Phil, though.
Yeah.
Those are the guys for that.
Phil Jackson?
Huh?
Phil Jackson?
Well, he had the good Phil Jackson.
Good Phil.
Chicago Phil Jackson was the good Phil Jackson.
I agree.
I think Lakers one got a little full of himself and
got a little bit of Kobe Shaqism.
Well, the thing with that team though, that's the all-time. I'm trying to think of the combustible chemistry combo.
Yeah.
2 guys that were just wired not to like each other if they played together, and they happened to play together during their primes.
Have you ever pointed out the triangle offense myth, though? Like, I just don't think
they never really stuck to it when it actually mattered.
Michael Jordan, they didn't, but every time the triangles worked, he's had one of the greatest players of all time. If it can't work outside of that sample size, I'm not buying it. I watched the Knicks try to run the triangle for 4 years.
Well, the spirit of it, Steve Kerr has tried to do with the Warriors. He's taken little pieces of it. Yeah, exactly. He basically wants everyone to touch the ball, which is what the triangle is.
Yeah.
The triangle is not only is everyone going to touch the ball, but you're going to obey these specific rules.
You will function in this orbit.
But it doesn't work in the three-point shooting era. Now you have teams shooting 30, 40 threes a game. And
Correct.
I don't know. Can you have two alpha dogs in the same team?
I don't know anymore. I used to think so, but in Golden State, it's kind of proven they do. I think Steph and KD are the closest you can get to having two alpha dogs. You put Draymond in there. I think Draymond's his own kind of dog. I don't know if you can label him.
I would say Draymond's I would say he's the alpha dog.
Yes, but I
don't think Steph and KD are wired like alpha dogs.
I still think your best player, like as much as I love Kawhi, like I feel like your best player has to be the biggest, strongest leader in the NBA. I do. I think at the end of the day, that's who the guys listen to. So I think when it comes to Golden State's got the best of all worlds. They have Draymond, who's the biggest culture carrier, and they got Steph and KD, who are pretty good leaders in their own right. So now you've got three. And Clay's he's just quiet. Clay's just a chill dude, but he could be if he needed to be. But I haven't seen in the NBA in this era. I'm interested to see John Wall and Bradley Beal. What's going to happen there?
I'm very suspect of that one.
What's going to happen there? Like I think it seems like it's going okay, but I don't know. At some point, someone has to go. I'm okay to play the B-side tonight.
I almost feel like the whole concept of alpha dogs is morphing into something else because, like, I don't feel like KD and Curry are traditional quote-unquote alpha dogs, but what makes them great among all the other things, they know exactly who they are as basketball players.
Well said.
They have no illusions. They're like, I'm good. I just want to win. I want to make the right play.
Yep.
If I get hot, I'm going to ride it.
Yeah.
I love playing basketball.
The
problems are when the guys don't, like John Wall.
Yeah.
I don't think he totally knows who he is yet.
Yeah, let Bradley shoot that thing in the corner.
Yeah.
You saw that other game where he was wide open and he did take it on himself, but to me, it just makes you better.
The worst thing that ever happened to John Wall was when he made that three-pointer and jumped on the table, that game. Yeah, because I don't think he's a great three-point shooter. He's not good. And then the half court, not as good either. I love John Wall. I think he's amazing. I think when he realizes that with a minute to go, down one, get the ball to Bradley Beal.
Yeah.
This is what's going to help us win.
Bill
He's better than
Wennington.
I am at this one thing. That's
Steve
when
Kerr,
he'll get there.
John Paxson. Who are
Yeah.
these guys? These are little spot-up guys. Didn't make Michael Jordan any less,
Yeah.
to hit the wide-open guy.
But yeah, I think that seems to me like a more traditional alpha dog struggle down the road because Beal's going to just keep getting better and better. And at some point, those guys are going to look at each other. I noticed it with Lillard and C.J. McCollum. Lillard hit a big three, and I was looking at the tape trying to the Blazers are jumping over on Lillard, and I'm looking like, where's CJ?
I always look for that too.
And I didn't see him, and now he might have been on the other side of the court. It might have been a fluke, but I don't know. I always look for that stuff. It's like, was CJ happy that he made that? I don't know.
He better be.
Yeah, you better be.
It's the NFL receiver thing. You won by 20, but you only had 2 catches. What's that malcontent going to do in the locker room? Same concept. So for me, that's where our thing is a big deal, because if your faith is where it should be, you should want other people to do well. Ultimately, everybody does better, but it's just not like that, unfortunately. I don't know.
Dame Lillard, that song he has with Lil Wayne is really good.
I
think that's a really the Dame Lillard being a good rapper is one of the craziest things that happened in 2017. They played that song. I was watching the Blazers OKC game, and they came out of commercial and played it because Lil Wayne was there. I was like, it's just a great tune.
He's good. He's really good.
It's really good.
Yeah,
he could
KD
be the
can
Bo
rap
Jackson.
Too. KD can rap.
Haven't heard the KD.
Shump can rap.
Shump?
You heard Shump stuff? Yeah. Amon Shumpert.
Tommy's nodding. Okay.
I think Amon Shumpert's great. Yeah, I don't want to get in trouble. I don't know. Who? Jalen?
Yeah. Jalen Brown.
Yeah.
The smartest basketball player in the league.
You think so?
Well, I'm worried. I think he's going to head toward that road. There's going to be people writing stories about how smart he is, and it's like that does not fly in the locker rooms. Guess what you don't want to be is the self-proclaimed smartest guy in basketball.
Yeah.
That's not going well.
Yeah, that's tough. That's tough.
Do you agree with my philosophy that I wrote about in the book, which you claim to have read? No, I know you read it.
I have. Hold on. I have footnotes in my book. It's an ode to you. I have it in there.
Thank you.
And no one's ever done it. I can't believe I'm the first guy to copy it, but I give credit to you.
I copied it from David Foster Wallace.
I didn't know who that is or care.
He's
I copied
one
Bill
of the
Simmons.
greats.
I copy Bill Simmons. I read ESPN.com. I don't know who that guy is.
Do you agree with my premise that 99% of NBA beefs are about cards or women or money?
That's not a premise. That's a reality.
Cards, women, or money.
That's
one
not
of
a
those
premise.
3 things.
It's not even in question.
Has there ever been a beef that didn't involve one of those 3 things?
You have to add shots, like bad shots taken.
Oh, like shot selection.
over a course of a year leads to an explosion.
Interesting.
I actually have there's another thing also due to misused screens. So I know a lot of big guys. And after a while, when you have a gunner, like I've seen guys like set screen after screen, and then the guy will come back at a timeout and be like, yo, set me a screen. I ain't setting you no more screens because you keep taking dumb shots. And the guy's always bigger. That's my favorite fight, and it happens all the time because those guys are always demanding the screens, right? So these big dudes who have been busting their butt, haven't touched the ball in 9 games. And they finally set that last one. The dude doesn't even use it. He misses a shot. They score, timeout, and they're running back. And the score starts to come at the big guy. And the big guy's like, nah, I'm setting you no more screens. And they'll leave him out to dry. Seen it a million times.
Gortat got that way in the Wizards Celtics series.
Polish
he was
Hammer?
so mad. Polish Hammer was so mad.
Greatest tattoo in the game.
He was again. Afterwards, he had the whole crazy quotes about, all I do is set screens. I could do more.
First of all, you can't. You set great screens. And you look like a cartoon.
He does set some good screens, though.
Yeah, he does.
What locker room over the last 15 years do you wish had called in Pastor Carl to try to heal, other than Shaq and Kobe, which is the obvious
That's where I was going.
They could have used you in that Wizards locker room during the Gilbert Arenas era.
I'm not trying to get shot in any locker room.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that right now. I love Jesus, but I'm not dying in an NBA locker room as a bystander. I feel like anytime there's it's frustrating when you see things that are straight pride related. Because pride is something we all have to fight. And anytime I see something, there's some things that are just not going to work. And it's like, I want nothing to do with your locker room. You got to trade guys. Yeah. But there's sometimes when the team is so close. Like we had a really good team in New York with JR, Tyson, Melo, Jalen coming through. Like we had something. And if you're there and you saw it, you knew. And Amari was there. And there just was so many things floating around where guys wouldn't die to maybe their own cause over the long course of a season, and it leads to disunity. So you
got different competing agencies.
Oh my god,
pitting guys against each other,
and it's New York.
And
so
coaches.
It magnifies everybody's desire to be a star. So that's what New York will do to you.
As we are recording this, the Knicks have given their fans hope for the first time since that Carmelo season you just mentioned, and Porzingis went to another level.
Porzingis is a baller.
Frankie Smokes, the rookie point guard. That's what we call him.
I'm a Dennis Smith guy, so he's got to show me so much. And
unlike Dennis Smith, Frankie Smokes plays defense.
I'm not interested in defense in any way. I'm not going to MSG to watch somebody lock up.
Well, you got Porzingis winning the scoring title. You need a well-rounded team.
No, but he does seem like he's going to be a great player.
I actually like him. I wasn't wrong on him because I didn't know anything about him. I love Monk.
Yeah.
But him and Markkanen, the finisher with 2 ends.
Yeah,
both seem like they're players. It seemed like a great draft.
I'm nervous because leadership starts from the top down, and I don't know James Dolan, but I'm really hoping he keeps on letting people make decisions.
I don't even know who's making the decisions right now.
Steve Mills.
Oh,
Steve
Mills. Is he definitely the decision guy?
I don't know.
Was it his decision to give Tim Hardaway $80 million or whatever?
No, if it was a bad decision, I don't put it on Steve. If it's a good one,
put it
I
on
give
Phil
him credit.
Jackson?
Yeah, I can do whatever I want. So I'm just going to say everything that was bad was Phil. And, Steve's going to bring us a new day. Allen Houston's involved. He's awesome. But other than that, I don't know. I just hope they keep making just even logical decisions is okay with me. We don't have to make good ones. But
logical, like don't trade Porzingis. That was they pulled that off.
Yep, they pulled that off.
Maybe we shouldn't trade the 7'3" guy who could score 30 a game if we ever
tough. And all he does is play ball. Like you're not going to see Porzingis out on the town in New York being ridiculous. Like he plays ball, he's kind, he's humble. His brother is his only entourage guy. And they just are really simple, awesome people. So I hope we keep him forever.
What's the biggest entourage you've seen without naming a name? Have we gone over 20 with an NBA player?
It's tough. It depends on the situation. But some of the guys that we've mentioned on this podcast already have giant entourages. But they're good with it though. If you go see an NBA guy in a club, that whole section is their crew. But normally, I think that era is over a little bit because just too much can go wrong.
What about musicians versus NBA players in the entourage side? Musicians have to have more, right?
Musicians have more. They're definitely not as cool. Like, I think NBA guys have cooler entourages.
Right.
But
definitely more weed in the entourages, I would guess.
Yeah. JB in his heyday had some crazy entourages.
What year are we talking?
Maybe a couple years
13,
ago.
13, 14?
No, he's like 23 now. Like a couple years ago, everybody loves Justin. Like I did chapel with the Steelers one time.
Yeah.
And he was with me, staying with me at the time. I brought him. And every Steeler wanted to hang out and talk to him. And then Terry Bradshaw gets on next day, and he's like, I can't believe they let Justin Bieber into a chapel, and just starts going off. And he had nothing to do with it. He was just rolling with me.
Yeah.
But I've never seen somebody be, that universally loved. Guys love JB.
That's weird because the perception is that he's way more polarized than that.
Yeah, for sure. But as we know, perception is often really far from reality.
Remember that week when you convinced Kyrie to leave Cleveland and Bieber to quit his tour the same week?
Yeah, it was a big week, Bill.
What was it? Where did you guys have breakfast where you said, hey, guys, here's what I'm thinking?
I said, guys, here's what I want to do. I feel like we don't get enough Scientology rumors. So if you guys could make giant, colossal decisions and just allude to the weird, random guy that runs a church that people don't know about, in detail, that would help me out. So I enjoyed that cycle of news that week, let me tell you. It was great.
You didn't enjoy it?
Not really, because you can't answer all of them. And after a while, it's like, no, we didn't brainwash this guy. No.
So now you're like a religious quack.
Well, I know
that would be like the negative.
I don't mind when
you become pigeonholed by like fake stuff.
I'd rather be mysterious and weird
than
just answer everything. So some people are like, yeah, you guys at your church, you guys have like different levels of entry. We're like, yeah, for sure. How many people come to your church? I heard it's like 100,000. We're like, yep, sure. All NBA players have to run their contracts by you? Maybe. You just answer random stuff. So it's not as spectacular as people think, but it is cool. It is fun to be a part of that. I just love basketball, so it's like my fun. That's something you'll appreciate. In Kevin, early days, we were talking about if you don't have to be a soft Christian on the court, right? Because a lot of guys are like, I don't want anything to do with faith. That's why Jeff Van Gundy hated chapels. You know that story?
No.
Despised the Knicks having chapel because he felt like it was the wrong mentality for them to have.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's some stories about it. Because that's why the Knicks are like, they're very interesting with the chapel thing. But I was telling Kevin, like, because you're a Christian doesn't mean you can't be a killer on the court. And I was like, matter of fact, next time you dunk on somebody, let's do something cool. Like do like a praying hands thing and like a slit the throat. Like we'll kill him now, pray for him later. And he took it literally, does it, and gets fined $25K.
Yeah.
100% my fault. I turn on First Take the next day. Skip Bayless is like, this guy says he's a Christian, and now he's doing slow, throat cutting thing, and I just felt so bad, but it was also kind of awesome. Kevin still thinks I owe him $25,000.
Yeah,
and I'm paying it. Someday.
He'll be fine.
I thought it was the funniest thing to see him do that, and it was like an awesome play. Did the throat slash, praying hands, and so I'm responsible for that fine.
Football seems to like the sport where there's the cloud of religion, and I don't mean that black cloud, like just the cloud is kind of always lingering over the games. Anytime somebody gets hurt, they all get in the prayer circle, they pray after the game.
NFL chapels are very somber. You can tell dudes are like, if you wanted to, you could manipulate it. Very like, hey, if you're in here, God's going to protect you.
There's a fear of physical safety that goes with football that basketball doesn't
football,
really
the
have.
urgency is different because basketball, you signed your contract, you got a 4-year, $30 million deal, you're good. You don't care. Yeah. Football, you cannot have a job the day after. So guys are very,
or you could be getting wheeled out on the injury cart.
Yeah, you can do some serious damage. So I think there's some NFL chapels are a lot of fun. Others are really quiet and chill. That has a lot to do with the quarterback. Best chapel I've ever been to, Chicago Bears, because of Josh McCown, who's like one of the best leaders still to this day that I know. But he's a gatherer, and I went into that chapel, and I was like, my gosh, it was packed. Because most NFL chapels get maybe 10, 15 guys. But this was packed. Met Brandon Marshall there, still like a lifelong friend. Just an eclectic group of guys, but it all comes back to the leadership.
Also, there's a religious element to the speeches that either the guy gives before the game.
Yes.
Jameis Winston, they had one yesterday. It was a disaster. He gave like this eating his fingers.
It was the most awkward thing I've ever seen.
Yeah,
the guys were like, cool.
That's where it goes bad.
End this quickly.
Yeah. But some of them are good. And then the post-game ones.
Yep.
I love Sounds of the Game on NFL Network. I always tape that. I always watch it to make sure there's not a good post-game. Some of them are great. Some of the coaches, you're convinced that this is like 80% how they got hired because their speeches were good after the games.
Yeah. Yeah, I would hire Tim Tebow just to address the team. Like if I was a coach, I would have that guy in every locker room because that's his gift,
We don't have that in basketball as much now, right?
No.
Guys don't.
I mean, unless Popovich is talking about Trump, you're not hearing a lot of fiery speeches. I don't know. I think it's because of the long season. After a while, you want to save your voice a little bit. But, Doc Rivers with the Celtics had a theme that he hammered home.
Ubuntu.
Yep.
It actually worked.
Of course it did.
I mean, we almost lost to the Hawks in round 1, but it did work.
But any message you do repeatedly becomes culture, and coaches don't realize that. So if you have a nice thing to say once a year, but you're always that jerky, manipulative coach, that's your culture. But Doc stuck with that theme, and
it helps when you have KG, Pierce, and Ray Allen desperate to win a title. Doc's like, I have this idea for Ubuntu. They're like, fine, whatever.
You're a big KG fan, right?
I am. I think he's one of like the great teammates of all time.
Yep.
I would say he's in the top 4 or 5 or whatever list. Russell would be 1, and then after that, whatever else the list is, KG's got to be the next 4.
Kendrick Perkins picked up all those traits.
Yeah.
By the way,
that's why Kendrick Perkins should have been kept by the Cavs.
I agree.
He would have helped out a lot of the stuff.
Those guys are Mike Miller's like that. Like that's why he was almost till this year just playing because you have to have that guy in the locker room. Mike Miller has saved more team chemistry moments than probably. And he's like the Guardian. Remember that movie with the yeah, that would be Mike Miller. Not only can he still get it done, but that guy can talk anybody into putting their shoes back on, going back out to the bench.
It sounds like a team should sign you. The Cavs should have signed you to a minimum.
I think
you could have been in the corner with your hand up, and then you really could have done all your magic off the
David
court.
Griffin is a friend. He's awesome. I don't know the new guy, but sometimes I get a chance to help with some culture stuff, but it is cool.
What's the biggest misnomer about NBA players?
Oh man, great question.
Thanks.
I think biggest misnomer. I think because media is so good now, there aren't many. Like it used to be, they don't listen to media. They do.
Yeah. Well, they have too much spare time.
Biggest misnomer, though, I think, is that these guys are really good people. I think that the perception. That's why I don't agree with necessarily what Stephen A. What his hoodie comments were taken as. I think he was more talking about like sometimes the perception of NBA guys is that they're just bigger than life and they're just these guys that don't care about stuff that's deeper. I haven't found that to be true of any of them that I know. I mean, these guys care. They're really good people. They're just in a tough job. Like if you're famous and rich at 20, good luck trying to be a good person.
Right.
So the fact these guys are, doing as well as they are is amazing to me. So the biggest misnomer is that these guys are just basketball players. I think they're
you
really
missed your
good.
calling because really 20 years ago is when you could have had the most impact.
Thanks, Bill.
With the Kenny Anderson.
I came in here on my 39th birthday feeling good. I definitely missed my peak.
Go in a time machine. You could have think of all the careers you could have potentially helped. All those dudes from the 90s that got way too much money too soon, the Jailblazers, all those teams, Spreewell. That league was crazy back then. League's so normal now.
It's almost boring.
People like Westbrook got mad at the officials after the post game. It's like that was like a Kyrie, 1 out of 100.
Kyrie gave a hand gesture to a racist Philly fan. It's like this isn't news. I mean, can you imagine going back to that's why the 30 for 30s were the best thing of all time. Like the one. First of all, did you see the clip of Isaiah choking his assistant coach? Have you ever seen that?
Which Isaiah Thomas?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I never saw that till the other day. I'm like, this is the greatest thing ever. He's bleeding from the eye. Like that era, I miss it. I don't like everything's a 30-minute review. Is it a flagrant? Like back then, if somebody died, they're gonna look at it later on. That's the only way. They're gonna play through it. So I miss those days.
The stakes are higher now.
Yeah.
Especially with social media and everything. Like, like Draymond and Bradley Beal had. I didn't want to call it a fight. They kind of danced and they fell into the crowd.
Yeah, I don't think if they squared up, Bradley would take it the same way. Like he had a good head start from behind.
I'm going to bet on Draymond against just about anybody in a real fight.
I caught a game. I caught a cab to a game with Draymond one time.
Yeah.
One of my best stories.
Let's hear it.
I was headed to the Miami Heat Chapel. And Draymond, I guess he just missed the team bus. I think he might have been a rookie or a year after. And I was like, dude, you going to the game? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, you missed the bus? He's like, yeah, I'm in trouble. I said, I'm going to the chapel. Got in a cab. I told the driver, I was like, hey, take us to American Airlines. 25 minutes later, I'm like, where are you going, man? He's like, American Airlines Terminal. I'm like, no.
Right.
Arena.
Oh, God.
Went over the median, booked it there, and I think we just made it, and I don't think anybody really knew.
You don't think anybody knew?
Nope. I think that Draymond had that rep of just he's going to get here, he's going to be on time, and it was just it was funny.
He's the one I worry about as much as I like him.
You can't control him. Have you seen the guys try to control him and he's losing it? He's not having it. Like even KD, all the guys will run over. I think his mom, if she was in like his eye vision, maybe she could control him. But when he gets going, yeah.
It's the same dynamic you have. Like if you have the family, the one member of the family who after 2 glasses of wine might start crossing lines at Thanksgiving, and everybody's like, "Uh-oh,
too vulnerable."
Yeah. Uh-oh. Auntie looks like she's getting in. Hold on. Hold on. We got to change the subject.
Take her a drink. Yeah.
It's that same kind of nervous kind of vibe that whole team gets when Mount Draymond is about to start bubbling. Yep. You can just see it. And it's honestly the one thing that can submarine them. If he can't figure out how to channel that stuff better, this is one of the few sports talk radio arguments that I actually don't poo-poo.
Right.
Because that team, on paper, should beat anybody. The one thing that can fuck them up is Draymond. And if he just keeps going off the reservation, at some point there becomes real costs.
I think that honestly, Golden State, they have to keep it interesting. And so stuff like that, they lose games here and there. Draymond, but when they have to lock in, I don't think it's going to even be close.
Right. People are saying that about the Cavs, but I actually think
I'll gamble on LeBron. I don't think he's going to go down easy. I'm not worried about the Cavs.
I would gamble on them making about 4 more trades.
True, but I think JR's shooting 20-some%. He's going to catch fire at some point.
Like literally catch fire?
No, he's going to start hitting threes.
Okay.
I love JR. He's one of my favorite guys.
JR's pouting.
He's pouting.
He doesn't like the Dwayne Wade thing. They're a classic chemistry gone wrong experiment. I watched them and it's like,
did anyone think that wasn't going to happen?
JR's mad they signed Dwayne Wade. Tristan Thompson's mad he's not starting. Kevin Love's mad because they try to trade him all summer. Derrick Rose is mad because he's not used to having the ball. Dwayne Wade's mad because he's Dwayne Wade. He's going to come off the bench. It's like it's all the checkpoints for this is bad.
You know what? They gambled on LeBron, the gatekeeper. They're like, we can get all these groceries, and LeBron's going to cook something. And it's not a bad gamble. He's done it before. This is the toughest batch of groceries, though, no doubt.
Well, and it's also the league it's just harder to turn it on and off because of the way people play basketball now. When you have this is why the Celtics are so sneaky good right now because they really play hard and they're good at defending threes.
Yeah, they are.
And everybody's firing up 33s a game. You can't get lazy on defense anymore because of the math of it. If you're not running out on shooters, you're going to give up like a 15-1 run all of a sudden.
The essence of defense, though, is not looking cool. The biggest problem in the NBA is everybody wants to be cool.
Yeah.
So when you see teams that are really like Marcus Smart, is that your guy in Boston?
I mean, he's our guy in Boston, but he's also my guy.
He's your guy. So the way he plays D, guys today, it's not very cool, right? To lock up, it's not cool. You want to saunter down the court, and when you see teams that are winning, they're closing out, they're doing stuff that nobody wants to do. That to me is everything. I think it's.
That's why I like my dude Frankie Smokes. My dude.
Now that you've said it, I'm going to give it a fair shake.
Frankie Smokes D's up.
Would you agree with me on this? Do you think that no one in the NBA has actually committed a foul in the last 7 years? It's the most annoying thing because what happens is refs build up this lack of tolerance for guys. And towards the middle of the year, I always tell guys, once in a while, try to tell the ref it was a good call. Just try it.
Kobe was great at that.
Every play, you never foul anybody. Every play. It's like everybody complains. And after a while, refs are like, they just lose it. They just start calling the worst fouls. But do you agree that no one's ever committed a foul?
Yeah,
when was the last time you saw a guy go, B, good call, sir? If you do that twice to a ref, it's going to go well for you late in the fourth. But if you've been cussing them out all game and you've clearly walked or you've clearly killed a guy, just once in a while, it actually endears you to everybody.
We do that to the refs in my daughter's club soccer.
Yeah.
We'll yell at them once in a while, but when they make a good call, or even if it's a good call against us, but good call, ref.
I joined the
that was a hard one.
I joined
you
the
gotta butter them up.
I joined the coaching staff of my son's flag football team after 2 losses. Took over the offense, installed a run and shoot.
Yeah.
Blew the team out. I also accused the refs of being high because I'm not sure this one guy was even watching the game, and I'm like, bro, you're getting paid $20 for this hour.
Right.
You need to
just at least focus over here.
I've never had as much fun as I'm having helping coach my son's team though. We're doing exotic blitzes. We're doing bounties. I got video game bounties. You score, you're looking at an Xbox card $50.
Oh my God. This is like the next great sports scandal.
It's amazing. And they don't miss. Like, we're doing straight up. We went from having a really vanilla defense to exotic corner blitzes. I mean, stifling the other team. And I'm proud of it. And we're not out there to have
How
fun.
old are these kids?
8 years old. My son, Roman, a.k.a. White Odell, a.k.a. White Lightning, he will be, I always say, son, you're going to be the next white cornerback. Now, we realize, since Jason Sehorn, this hasn't happened, but you're going to be the guy. So he has in his mind that he's going to be a white skill position. Like McCaffrey, I'm really proud of that. I think that maybe Roman can be in that vein. He's got giant
next Jason Sehorn.
I don't want to be the next Jason Sehorn. I just know that Jason Sehorn made it possible to believe that my son can come out of the hood of New Jersey and be a DB running a 4.2.
4.2.
One of my friends, Prince Amukamura, who is like fast wounded. That's how fast he is. I had him try to teach Roman some moves, and he's too cute. He's too funny. He's got giant glasses, headband, 17 different wristbands, great cleats, tied up his little jersey, like he's ready to roll.
Was this harder or less hard than doing the Breakfast Club?
This was one of the highlights of my life, and that might seem weird to people, but this is awesome. I love your show. I think it's really cool you had a pastor. I don't know if you have another one.
What question didn't I ask that I should have asked?
How many?
We didn't really get deep religious.
Well, I mean, I think.
Why don't you do like a 3-minute spiel to end it?
You gotta think
Just
about.
do your 3 minutes.
What are you living for?
I'm giving you 3 minutes right now.
I'm giving it.
Motivate my listeners right now. They're in the car. They're on the treadmill. Like, make them rethink their life right now.
You got a purpose. You need to figure out who gave you the purpose. You need to figure out what legacy you're going to leave, what people are going to say about you when you're gone. We're recording this a day after 26 people were murdered going to church. Not a single person in that church woke up that day thinking that they were going to stand, on the door of eternity. And I think when you start thinking about life from that angle, that we don't have a tomorrow that's promised, that maybe these little moments matter more than they do, I think it changes what you live for. It changes why you live. And so the purpose of my life is to remind people that there is a God. He did create you. You do have a purpose. And don't let weird religion stop you from a relationship with God. That's the number one problem in cities like this, is people have been to weird church, heard a weird thing, and now they've shut off from maybe the most important thing in life. So keep your heart open. Try to figure out who made you, why you're here, and live for that purpose, and you'll never work another day in your life.
What did you say my religious strategy is? I told you. I said, I believe that everybody has a different God or whatever. I said, you said there was a term for that. Everybody believes in something. And they have a faith in something.
Some would call you a universalist.
Okay, explain what a universalist is.
All roads lead to heaven. Your faith is okay. My faith is okay. At the end of the day, they all lead to the same place. It's inherently false because my God says that this place is different. Muslim says this is different. So a lot of people, it's cool for you, Carl. I got my faith. You got your faith. And I always say, faith in what?
Right.
I'm a man of faith. Faith in what? Faith in faith is called insanity. You have to have faith in something. So when you answer these questions, I think there's peace that you can find in this life you can't get from a better job or a new contract. You got to live for something more.
So, but how do you stay tolerant of all faiths when you feel that way?
Well, I believe that Jesus would have, set a course for us to be able to disagree without disparagement, to have discourse without disrespect. And so why would I be threatened by your different faith? Either I'm right and you're going to change, or you're right and I'm going to change. Either way we win. So for me, my belief that Jesus is the only way doesn't mean that your way I can't listen to and I can't get to know.
We both agree that the triangle offense sucks.
We agree on so much. We agree that we could run a hell of an NBA franchise.
At the rate the NBA is going, don't rule it out with some of the people that are running these teams.
You and Gary Vee can combine forces and buy a team. And
what's Gary Vee? I know that name.
He's an incredible motivational guy, but he has a dream to buy the Jets.
The Jets.
Yeah. So
Not many people dream to buy the Jets.
Today is a position move for me because when you do buy a team, I put my hand up to be the equipment manager, and you're always going to be short gear.
I'm going to make you the 15th man.
I'm ready.
I'm going to put you in the locker room.
I'm ready.
Just being like, JR, why are you upset? You won a ring. Come off the bench. Dwayne Wade's one of the best two guards of all time. It's fine. You're still going to get your 6 threes a game. Come on, buddy.
JR
be with us.
Fine.
We need you.
I predict that JR is going to catch fire soon, and we're going to love it.
What would you say to Markelle Fultz?
I would say, I want to know what happened to his shoulder. I don't know what happened.
Or if anything happened.
I would say don't play until your shoulder's perfect.
Doesn't sound like he has the right people around him. I think we can
At all.
safely say that.
We know this.
I think
to be
he
sure.
needs one person that he could trust around
Markelle,
him.
do what's best for you. Don't play with one arm. It's a long career. That's what we'd say to him.
Yeah, especially with all the expectations.
Yeah, do you.
There's video of him shooting left-handed threes
It's not right.
on the internet this morning.
It's not right.
What the
Change
hell's
shot
going
to
on? They
here.
traded 2 massive assets for him.
They also picked up JJ Redick, who I think is the best. Just shout out to JJ for no reason.
Okay. Embiid?
Hilarious. I've got to know him a little bit. He's hysterical.
It sounds like you should just line up with one team. One of these owners should just be like, we're taking Pastor Carl. We're preventing all the other teams from using this great resource.
I'm open to it. I'm a